Are you concept or detail? Let's say I asked two people about the Bond movie Spectre. What was it like? One says, it's great. A cryptic message spurs Bond to confront Spectre, while M fights for the future of MI6. Bond has to protect the baddie's daughter and ends up battling an old foe. The other says, wow, there's a lot to tell. First out, suddenly you're right in the middle of the Day of the Dead festival in Mexico, and there's really breathtaking scenery and a complete sunburst of colours amongst the kind of skeletal costumes and death symbols. The people look really striking. Each one's got a unique outfit that fits the theme, and that really gets it all going. And basically, James Bond starts questioning his future. There's been a merger of MI5 and MI6, and he's not really quite ready to quit yet, especially since he still has an assignment to complete for M. You remember the Judi Dench one, which he reckons he needs to do. That's where things start to go wrong. And it's with the film's first villain, who also has a rather awkward connection with Bond. Now look, there's some really explosive stuff from the get-go, etc., etc., etc. The first answer was from a conceptual person, and the second answer was from a detail person. To find out whether someone prefers concept or detail meta pattern, simply pay attention to how the person structures their answers to your questions. Do they talk in broad terms about the abstracts, principles or concepts? Or do they give information sequentially, in lots of detail? Ask yourself, which do you prefer? How you feel is going to depend on whether you are on the concept or detail side of the continuum. Concept or detail, general or specific, which size of information do you prefer? General big chunks? Do you look at the big picture? Or small chunks, specific information? Do you want to hear the finer points? This pattern relates to the chunk size of information that a person handles well, their ability to receive, incorporate and track the information being presented. Now if you go to the movies to see a film, there will be one story and maybe 5 acts and maybe 40 scenes. This is a good metaphor for understanding this meta pattern. A concept person will summarise the story and maybe the few acts. The detail person will speak at greater length, going into the detail of individual scenes. Plus, there's even potential further detail available at the level of script which you might even receive. A conceptual pattern leads to generalities, summarising. The detail pattern leads to specifics. Sometimes you want one or the other, or you might want to drill down. However, on this continuum, you will have a default mode. That will be bias to one or the other. People who are on the detail side of the scope meta pattern really tend to perceive a task in terms of its constituent parts. They'll concentrate on the detail, and they'll need the detail before they understand the overall, if at all. They treat information in sequence, typically step by step, and if they get lost, they may have to return to the start of the sequence. They'll have difficulty prioritising because they can get bogged down in the detail. They need concrete examples. So, they'll give lots of detail, and they'll go down several levels in describing and explaining something to you. And if they lose a sequence, they may start over again. They'll talk about steps. They'll talk about sequences. They may only be aware of the step before and the step after. So don't assume people running a detail pattern will see the big picture once they have all the information. The influencing language for people who prefer the specific or detail pattern are exactly, precisely, first, specifically, next, then, before, schedule, order, structure, definite, organised. People who prefer the concept or the general meta pattern tend to talk in generalities and are concerned with the overview or overall concept, although they can concentrate on detail for a short space of time. They'll concentrate on the overall direction of a task and need to understand the big picture before they can consider the detail. They like to see how the individual parts fit together and often work best when they can delegate the detail. They tend to summarise tasks and events, and they'll use abstract examples. Typically, they could give an overview with few or no detail. They'll describe situations without reference to a sequence, and they'll talk about summaries, concepts, abstracts and overviews. And the influencing language for people who prefer the concept or general pattern is big picture, basically, generally, typically, overall, flavour, concept, open-ended, spontaneous, essentially. The important thing is, as with every meta pattern, there is a continuum, a spectrum on which we sit. Some people are highly conceptual and some are highly detailed. There is a place for both, and whatever our default, we should be able to chunk up or drill down in any situation. In many encounters, there is a logic to starting a conversation with the general, conceptual or known, and then drilling down to the specifics and the detail. In terms of everyday mindfulness, conceptual and detailed people can consider what is the right amount of data to deliver at any one time. Being aware of our own preference is a huge advantage in communication. Learning the preferences of others mean we can help them. And people rarely take offence when being asked for more brevity or for more detail. If you want to learn more about meta patterns and enjoy a profiling session with me, please contact David at worklifedevelopment.co.uk or call me in the UK on 01273 323388. I can conduct profiling for meta patterns face-to-face, via Skype, over the phone, or through a questionnaire. Thank you for watching my video.